Hi guys, welcome back to another video. So I'm pretty much fuel pipes away from ready to pull this M57 out of this E36. So I've got to quickly, the ramp's ready to come down. I'm just got to quickly show you underneath what I've done. It needs to have a chassis mount shifter because you won't make the E36 gear linkage work on a 36 chassis. Also, the gear linkage needs to be modified to a certain length so that when you're sitting in neutral, your stick's sitting centralised in this hole here. It needs to be in the centre of there when the car is in neutral, when the engine's in neutral, sort of thing. I've used full 46 fuel lines. This is a 46 fuel line, these are alloy. I've used this all the way to the front of mine. So if we go further along here, you see I have everything for a 46 here. I've got a fuel pump here. It has these things have like 2 returns, so you need to I've just used the full 46 thing. It just made life easier for me. It was just to keep everything original. I didn't want to put it in and delete some returns and have issues later, so I've used both returns. So like you get a return that returns straight to the tank, and you get a return that returns back into, go round the block and back into the engine. So this is a M57 5-speed 184. It's in on its original 3 series mounts, brand new 330 diesel engine mounts with the vacuums cut off the underside. The original 330D power steering lines work, the lot. All I've had to do is modify this to run a TDS rad. The top pipes modified to do a TDS rad as well. I'll just drop the car down now. I'll give you a look at the bay. There's all the front end stuff lying there. Intercooler mounted to the wee bumper support bar at the back of the bumper legs. Some custom boost pipes. 330D brakes. The first night I took this home after 330D in it, it nearly didn't stop, so I had to come back down the next day and put 330D front brakes on it. It's a compact, so you're not going to put them on the back. So here we are. So I've got a TDS bottle here. I've moved it a little further up the leg than it should be. I've used the fuel cooler off the E46. I'll get this out of the way. This is just stuff for the lights. So modified this to go to a TDS rad. Since we're not using the 46 bottle, I've extended this with a little bit of alloy for it to get to a TDS rad, and then you've got this that goes to the top of the TDS rad. Usually when I do six cylinder swaps into an E36, I usually use the 1.8 battery cable that goes down onto the starter, then hooks onto your relay box. Since I've took the engine away from here, I'm left with, I've split the ECU plug, I've split that, and I've left this one here with the 6 pedal wires on it for it to just fit through that gap. And on this side we have a OBD port, so we've got the white and purple OBD wire. We have a green with a brown, but it's just, this is the earth for the OBD port, and I have a red. This is a constant live for the OBD port. Back water pipes wise, there's like a diesel heater thing on these, so you just delete that and basically you're left with a pipe that goes in to the heater matrix and a pipe that comes out. That's it. So I have also wired this up to plug straight into here. So this 330D is already wired up into E36 configuration. It's fairly easy to do. I've basically used like say 1 wire to wake up ECU, 2 for temp, 1 for starter, an oil light, a battery light and an RPM light. So the way I've took this loom away from here, I've basically just unpinned 4 wires for this plug. So that plug there alone, that's like wake up ECU, and OBD wire goes on that black plug. And on the grey plug you have black as RPM, blue as battery light. This black purple is the fuel pump trigger, and this brown with a green trace is oil pressure light. On top of that, that's just a constant live feed that goes on top of this terminal here for the battery. Constant live to live, so the relay's got a constant live. There's an earth here that's just earth and a relay and whatever else needs earth there. And by the time the ECU is in the hole, and everything's tucked in. The ECU cover covers that, and all your wiring is in there, nice and neat and tidy. I'm sure you've seen a photo of this engine bay. So, standard 330D pipe. I've used the 330D top pipe. I've come round here, since there was hoses close to this, I've put some edging rubber on there. I'll show you my intercooler. This was just like a diesel intercooler. It's like an AirTech intercooler. It was off a Honda Civic that I got for scrap, so I've just made it mount this. So we have the 330 diesel top pipe here. I've just zip tied this round because it was touching a bit of chassis and I don't like chafing. I've just come round the corner of a 90-degree bend. This bit was pretty hard, but this is I used to have a RB25 Det Skyline, and this was an all boost pipe off of that, and that takes you to the intercooler on the driver's side. And when you get to the passenger side, this is like a TDS pipe, a TDS pipe, and a couple of random hoses that I had here for to come down round the back of the light, because this goes like something like that, and that one would go something like that into the turbo, that one up to the throttle body, which comes up through this gap here. I've got it coming outside the leg and then up over to there. And again, I've utilised all the fuel pipes off an E36 as well. So I literally set of fuel pipes away for taking this engine out. I set to loosen the top of the engine mounts there, down pipes off it, front ends off it. I didn't usually take the front end off, but because I'm giving my mate everything off my car, he's getting an intercooler as well, and I'm going to buy a brand new one. Power steering lines on an E36 that runs through a cooler. We didn't use the cooler, so I've literally just used a bit of the cooler hose, and I've just joined up that pipe there. It does get a little sweaty, but it works. So that's pretty much it. And inside the car I have temp working, RPM working, battery light, oil light. These ECUs didn't need to see speed signal. It doesn't really hold anything back. It's actually alright that way, but I can't get a speed signal to work with it. E46 speed signal won't read an E36 as a speed signal sort of thing. There must be different signals because it doesn't work for me. Apart from that, it's a fairly basic swap. The wiring would be the hardest challenge, but it's not actually that hard if you can get EWS delete. I mean, this engine runs on the floor with minimum wiring. Basically wake up the ECU, have fuel running to it, and your constant lives and earth's intact, and that's it. So I'm going to end the video here, this part anyway, and when I pull the engine out tomorrow, I'll show you the rest of the deal with the fuel pipes. And maybe when I go to put my 204 in, I'll show you how to keep. I've kept this off, say, like a 1.8 petrol loom, just so you have this plug that plugs in and keep some wiring with it, so you can talk to the chassis plug basically without making it look rough. I mean, that looks tidy when it's all the way in the box. I'll add a picture later of how my engine bay used to look when it's nice and tidy, and the engine looks like it should be there really. Right, back soon. Right, this part is going to apply to anybody who's going to put a non-BMW engine into a BMW or an E46 engine into a BMW. So the best way to start is go to a 1.8 engine, and you want this full part of the loom. I've already cut this one, right, but you want this. I've got to take it over and I'm going to show you how to dissect, if you will. So we really only want the plug that talks to the body and the fuel pump relay, which has a yellow purple on it. We really just want that, so we've got to go back and strip it, but we want a good length of tails with it as well. Just make sure we can see that alright. So hold this to bits. Always better to use a 1.8 loom, because 6-cylinder loom's worth money, so you don't want to waste that. You get like 80 quid to 100 quid for 6-cylinder looms. For people that's putting like a 528 engine or something like that into a 3 series, they usually do a loom swap, where me, I ken the wiring, so I would just wire it up and save the loom, sell the loom later. So we need to, let's just get rid of all the nonsense over this. Let's see that we have this part. We could probably go ahead and just chop this wire now because we don't need ECU plug. We just want this part. You only need one of these. This has been auto, so it's like it's got an extra bit. And some cars that have got like traction control and cruise control have the second plug. We only need the one plug. It's the plug that uses the most pins. You'll see this other plug only uses like maybe 10 pins, where this has got like 20 filled. So I'm just going to go ahead and chop that there. Probably should have just used the grinder, but hey ho, we're here now. Right, so finish with that. I have a 1GZ and a compact as well, and I pretty much started doing the same thing. Obviously it's the easiest way to do it because this is like all the pins that come for temp, RPM, start and stuff like that. They all come at the cab and sit at the engine bay, ready to plug into an engine. I wouldn't really say there's much more like cars that's so like easy enough to take the engine out, like how a BM is, how you leave the full wiring on the engine and stuff like that. This, it may look scary and it may look like there's a lot of wires, but by the time we dissect what's not needed, there's maybe 15 to 20 wires involved. So we don't need that one. We'll look at this one. And the fuel pump relay, which is this one. You just need to be careful with the Stanley blade that you don't actually slash wires that you need. Now you have to retape them or cut them and rejoin them or something. Right, so that part done, we need to take the sheathing off of this because we've got to take half the pins out of here as well. So we've got fuel pump relay, which has, there's the trigger that triggers the fuel pump. This one is to be constant live, and this one's going to take a switch live off of one of these in here. I'll show you once we get further into it. Just get all the rubbish out the way. Boom. Right, so this is the starting point to put in anything in your E36, any engine you like. So next we're going to go and depin. I have a diagram sitting there. I'll take these up to here and I'll show you how you can depin this plug down to the bare minimum that's needed and what we're going to use and stuff like that. So we need a screwdriver. I've got to go over here. Right, so now we've got our plug on the bench. I'm going to show you how to depin this. If you look in here, you can see all the numbers here, right? But if you look in here, there is a tab, which is here. See that? If you push that anti-clockwise without stabbing myself, that's the pins unlocked and you can push them out. So we're going to, right, out of this total plug, like there's 25 wires in this plug. Right, 25 pins in this plug. We're going to use like 12 or 13 of them max. So next thing you'll do is take a pokey tool. And we'll start by finding number one, which we're not going to use. So number one is empty. Right, number two is empty, we're not going to use it. Number three, we're not going to use it, so we just put that in there and you push back to right, that's number three. Number four, not used, push him out to 5. We're not going to use 5 either. We'll actually then need nothing up till number 10, right? Six. 7, 8, 9, 10. Right, so we do need 10. 10's reverse signal, 11's coolant, 13 fuel pump relay, yes, 14 not used, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, no 14. 15, do I need that? Right, that's us moving on to the middle ring now. So let's find 16, 16. Diagnostic. Is that right? And then after that, these pins just come out of there, and we can like get rid of them. Put them right out. Oops, the wiring's looking less messy already, right? So let's start at 25, right? Work back the way for this one. So 25 alternator. We need that. So 24 fuel consumption, don't need that. So that's what we're basically keeping everything from there. What I did notice is we've got two switch lives coming out of here, right? But one of them you're really not going to need to use, because this green one here, this first switch live, which is pin 21, right? It comes out and it can switch two things on at once. So that's more than enough to use. The other one's like quite a thick wire on its own. So we'll get rid of pin 22. That wasn't 22, it was 23, dumbass. 22. And I'll tell you what this leaves us with in a setting once I make sure this oil pressure one is back in properly. Also, right, what makes this easier is 90% of these cars is going to be the same when you go through to the E36 engine, right? Right, that's the tab, locked again, push that round. So let's have a quick run down to what I've got here. So we are using reverse light signal, pin 10, right? It's blue with a yellow tracer. It's the same on an E46. Coolant temperature, we'll go over that in a minute, because this is an E46 uses a 2-pin temp sensor and an E36 uses a 3. So I'll show you how to do that in a minute. Fuel pump relay, we need that because we have the fuel pump relay on this part of the loom. That's green purple. I have question marked both diagnostic things on the E36, because when I put a 330 diesel in my E36, I only used an OBD port that was just reading the engine, but on this other car I want to make it read the chassis as well, so you can get ABS codes and stuff later. 18 starter, which is black and yellow. 19 is white with a green tracer, which will reset the service light by earthing it off the chassis. 20 is RPM, which is black. 21 is a switch live that can switch on two things. It has two greens here, so we'll wake up the ECU with that, and we'll also probably use it for reverse switch. That has to have a switch live and the signal wire. 22, we got rid of that. 23 is oil pressure, which is brown with a green trace. Again, it's the same on an E46 loom, and alternator charging signal is straight blue. So I already have an E46 loom here. I have wrote down a diagram. There'll be a diagram in this as well. But then this is all that needs connected up on your E46. I have 6 here for my pedal. There's a green and purple here, which is waking up the ECU, what you've got to take off of this one. That's going to be a switch live. Then we have like a fuel pump, trigger, RPM, oil pressure and battery, which these are all the same colour, except the only one that's no same colour is your fuel pump trigger, which is black with a kind of violet grey tracer on it. That's going to wake up your ECU, wake up your fuel pump relay using this brown wire here on the fuel pump relay, which is pin 85, I'm sure it was. Pin 85, it's an earth trigger, so it triggers pin 85 on the relay once the car is switched on. let's run over the temp thing just quickly. Right, so on a E36, you're a two pin temp. Two pin, on an E46 you're a 2-pin temp sensor, right? On an E36, most, like 90% of E36s run a 4-pin temp sensor, right? Because two of the pins tell the ECU the temp and 2 tell the clocks, right? So what we do here is we go to the E46 engine, you take the sensor out, you cut the wires off it, off the plug, and you wire up this coolant signal to ECU to pin 3 on the coolant signal to the ECU, and then the brown green is coolant earth and the grey brown is coolant earth to ECU, and then that'll leave you 2 tails, which is going to marry back up to this later, because your 2 temp signals has got to be brown green and brown purple, which I'll show you because I've got my engine sitting here. So there's your 4-pin temp sensor fitted to a 46, right? So there's where I've done the signal on the earth. This is for the ECU side, right? That's ECU side, and then the other 2, I've got them coming up here and then marrying into my X20 plug, which fits straight to an E36, which is pin 11 and 12 in there, I'm sure. 11 and 12. Yeah, pin 11 and 12 in there, and the colours are the same, you can't go wrong with that. So since my wiring's already done, I have to show you like how to wire this, like 1 in a diagram, and 2, I have another engine sitting across there that I can show you what I've done with the rest of the stuff. But you will only do any wiring until your engine is in the hole, your ECU is up in the ECU hole, you have your X20 plug plugged in down here, then you'll do some wiring, because you need it to be a certain length. You can't just make it on the floor and plug it in and hope it's going to work. It's not going to work like that, because it's like custom. So every time I do a 6-cylinder swap, I always use the 4-cylinder battery cable. That's going to go straight on the starter for you here. It's going to come up to your battery if you're a battery under the hood, like, but I always like to keep the battery under the hood if that was a 1.8 car. And then this guy here is going to link straight over to your fuse box relay for you. So the only thing that he's done here, if you go inside the car, take the glove box out, you've got a wee grommet there. So this is where the throttle pedal wire is going to come through, and there's got to be 3 wires for OBD as well. OBD, a constant live and an earth. Also this shell was auto, so I'm going to link these 2 wires together for the starter to work, or I could possibly do it here, because I need to, this car was auto, so I need to put reverse switch on it. So reverse is white, green white and blue yellow, which is here. So I'm basically got a wire, here's my reverse switch that I've just cut off that loom on that engine out there. I've got to run that through the hole in the chassis, and I'm going to put the reverse switch to here so his reverse lights work. So there, that's pins 6 and 7 for to make the reverse light work. I could actually bridge this into wee park here, but I'll just do it here so there's no too much wiring to do in that part. So, and again, EWS, the only way I would ever like remove this box completely and put these 2 together is if you'd lost the chip out the key. If the chip's in the key, usually I would just cut this. If it was a manual car, cut this solid green wire, because that interferes with your car starting up if it's got like a, say, a mapped ECU and a petrol. As long as your key chip works in, your starter wire should always work for you. If it doesn't, that'd be the only reason I would bridge these 2 together. So we'll quickly go around the other side. E46 throttle pedal fits straight in an E36. I've not got the plug in it yet, so I'm not quite ready to slide it on, but it can kind of sit there in place. So when I bring the wiring through, I will bring it through here and then wrap it up around here so it can't get jammed behind any pedals here, and then I'll plug it in. So I'm gonna go and put fuel pipes on. I need the fuel pipes on before I can put the engine in the hole. Then I'll get the engine in the hole. I'll get the engine sat in the hole and start doing some plumbing and stuff. Obviously this one plugs straight in, so that's easier for me. I've got a couple of tabs to cut off the chassis here as well, because this was a petrol chassis. I also made another diagram here that I'm just fixing as I go along. So an M57, the wiring is the exact same as an MS42, which is a E36 cable throttle 6-cylinder, right? But what I did find on this diagram, this is wrong. These two pins need to be swapped back and forward because pin 1 should be blue. So whoever wrote this diagram has been wrong. So as I've been going here, I've been writing down what my X20 plug, the one that I just depinned and showed you, pin number and what colour it is. So that one is blue alternator charging light, but it's actually for pin 1 of the ECU plug, which I'll show you here. Pin 1 here is blue. So again, all the pins that we use on this as well, right? So you've got 6 for your pedal, right? These aren't going to be on the diagram really, because these are the same colour all the way through to the pedal. We have a black purple, which is going to turn on the fuel pump really. A straight black, which is a straight black on an E36 as well, that's RPM. Oil pressure light and battery light, these are all the same colour. And then on this part, this has got to be green purple. This is waking up ECU with the green off of this one, and then this one's got to go through the car and talk to OBD port. Simple, really simple to wire. Right, so I'm going to do my fuel lines, put the engine in the car, and then I'll keep updating you as I go. So this is what we've got so far. So everything that I have here is kind of tied up to what's there. So we've got battery light, fuel pump relay to pin 85, but it doesn't count the X20 plug, right? Oil pressure, brown green. It's brown green on the E46 loom, and it's brown green on the E36 loom. OBD connector, that's engine speed signal, which is RPM, which is black, which goes to pin 20, which is black. Pin 20 on the X20, which is black. Voltage supply, terminal 15, this is the wake up ECU, which is green and purple, which goes to pin 21, which is green. And that's all I've got so far, but then we've got the OBD port, which is pin 32 here, which goes to white purple. You're going to wire up an OBD port inside the car anyway, so that's just one wire to that, a constant live and an earth, and then that's got to read you codes for the engine at least. I will come back to this later because I'm not sure if I can wire up these to the same OBD port so we can read the E36 chassis and the E46 engine in the one go, or I might need to make another port so we can read at least the E46 engine on its own and the E36, because when you obviously when you do away with this loom's not going to be in the bay anymore. This is your OBD port on an E36. You read it fit inside the bay unless it's like a 1999 compact car or whatever. That's the only reason an OBD port would be inside the car. So yeah, I'm going to go do fuel lines, take bumper off, put engine in the hole, and I'll keep you updated on the rest of the stuff. Also, when I put a 330 diesel on an E36, you notice there's a slight differences in the subframe. So on an E46, this would be facing straight back the way in the car, and it's got the wee tabs for to pump up the engine mounts and stuff like that. I don't use engine mount vacuums, so I have these to bolt in, and basically I want to bolt them in with that facing back the way on the car, straight back, and then I know the engine's got to sit in the right place. whereas an E36, they sit to the side, which if you see, if you move that from there to there, look at the difference in where that could sit. I mean, there's like an inch in that if you put it the wrong way. So, right, I'll be back soon, so I'll speak to you in a bit, guys. So now that the car is running and the job's pretty much complete, I'm back to this wiring part at the end, right, where at the start I question marked number 16. So now we can get rid of number 16, but we're actually going to keep this starter really unloader because we have it on the E36 engine start feedback. So we're actually just going to use that. So keep pin 15. I will try and shuffle this in next to the wire, the part where we went through depinning this. But now we can get rid of pin 16. We're using 17, but instead of running it in through the car, you can actually just connect it to the ECU from here. That's going to take it inside the car for you, and then you're just going to pick up your OBD port at the EWS box like I've showed you a little later. So we're using reverse, coolant, fuel pump relay, not using 14, we're using 15, not using 16, we use 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, don't have to use 22, but you could use it for someone else. You could put, when you depin this, you could put a skinnier wire in it and use it to switch someone else on, but that's up to you along the way. We use oil pressure and we use alternator light. And on here, what I've done, obviously remember these two are the wrong way round, so but the wire colours will match up. So on this diagram is wrong, but the pins has got to be correct on the, like if I show you this, like pin 1 here is alternator, the blue, and pin 2 is black green, but on this diagram, whoever's wrote this diagram has mixed up and it's wrong. This didn't have pedal wires on it, so I've put the pedal ones here, so you know the colour goes straight through, and anything down the side is what from this ECU connects to this basically when it's in the bay. So you got pin 15, black green, start feedback, 25 is blue for alternator, brown green here is oil pressure, black is RPM. This is what I just showed you in another bit of the video. You probably see it this on the 4 pin, it's a non-ECU plug, but it's found in the ECU bit. The blue and yellow is on that plug for the gear reverse light if you're going to use it. Green purple is going to wake up the ECU, which has got to be for the switch 12 volt here, 21, and your white purple can now just get connected straight from the ECU to this, and then we'll pick it up inside the car and then wire up the OBD port from the car as well. What I did find as well, you don't need to take a constant live and switch live to inside the car. The EWS box has a constant live on it, which is a skinny red with a yellow stripe. That's a constant live, and there was a straight blue there as well, which comes on when you turn the key on. So technically all you need to run inside the car is the pedal wires, and the rest of it can be picked up at the EWS box, because one, you've got to take OBD off the EWS box, then you can take the red yellow as a constant live, and you can take the straight blue as a switched live. They're all really easy to access, and then you can just put your OBD port inside the car, and it's only the pedal wire that needs to go through the bulkhead. So that pretty much covers everything here. I will take pictures of this. I'll take pictures of this, pictures of that, and pictures of this for you, and I'll put it in a Google Drive. And if you read the description of the video, there'll be a link to these three in a Google Drive just as a picture, so that you have kind of something to follow, and then you can just bounce back and forth between the diagram and watching the video again for to help you get through the swap yourself. So we've got it sat in the hole. I need to go and put engine mount stuff on. It's just sat on the mounts, need to put the nuts on. Also still to, the shell was an auto, so I've still to cut the end of the nip on here so this can get fluid in it. I'll bleed the clutch after. Plenty of space round the back. I need to swap this 5 litre bottle for a 2.5 litre bottle, because it's going to, my boost pipe's going to come out and go down there. I didn't take the front end off to put this engine in, so I had to take the fan off instead. So I just had to start doing plumbing. Also, because this car was a petrol chassis, obviously on a diesel chassis you have a part here which holds your TDS filter. So there's my diesel filter there. I'm going to have to just make a little bracket here for it to come and hold the diesel filter here. So I've got 2 water pipes to put on, the brake vacuum to sort, The gearbox is all sitting on the mount. Shifters on. Cover the light. Shifters on. Also got my prop shaft sitting here. This prop shaft, I just made this prop shaft myself. So this is a E36 flange here. It's a ZF, but it's a big ZF, and this back part is an E36 prop shaft. If you go an E36 and cut the prop shaft, say cut it there, then I've cut the 46 one like that long, and I've put this bit, I've slid it away inside there. But what you will find is when you go to do this, when you go to put this prop shaft together, by the time you put this bit inside there, it slides around a bit, which is no good. So what I've done, I got a bit of, say a bit of rectangle tin, right, and I rolled it right round. I put it inside with it, so it's sleeved in. So basically, the further you sleeve this inside there, the more chance there is of it being true. So what I did, I got a bit of tin, I wrapped it around that, so there was like little to no gap left here at the end where they both met again. I pushed it together, I got a length on the car, I come back and the bit of tin was sticking out the edge of it, so I got a wee chisel and chapped the bit of tin down, and I just welded right round it. I have this prop shaft, I had this prop shaft on my own car, there was no vibrations or nothing. This 204 video that I done on YouTube, this is the same kind of prop shaft in my own drift car, which are one guys.i and an E36 compact. We all have the same props, they're all made the same way. Like I say, no vibrations or stuff like that. If you're not sure about that, get a prop shaft guy to do it or get it checked, whatever. But I reckon the further you slide this part inside there and get your measurement correct within length, then the more chance it has of being true. So that's that part. So I'm going to just go ahead and start plumbing stuff in, plugging stuff in, get the diesel filter and that sit in the right place. I'll get the exhaust on later, I've still to bleed the clutch. I'll actually just pull this pipe off the new, so I'll actually remember and cut the nipple off the end of it. Come on, here we go. So obviously when you get an auto, it still has this part here, but you need to take the steering blade and just take this wee nipple off the end of it, put that on and let that flow through it. But yeah, aye, get in there. Also I need to go and remove the bumper to fit my intercooler and stuff like that. And, this one's never been off before, so I can already tell the bolts are going to be amazing today. But aye, let's just keep ticking jobs off the list, eh? So I've just been wiring up my OBD port there, and that's me just put the pedal wires in. So I'm going to show you here, my OBD constant live is run off the eyelet that's in here. This is where it's taped up. So my OBD constant live runs over here. OBD's got a switched live as well, the OBD port, so that's this green wire here, which is basically pin 26 on the ECU, or the pin on this that was going to be your switched live, which had two outlets off it. That's going to switch on that. Obviously the white and purple OBD wire, and I'll show you what I'm doing inside here now. So OBD port, pin 16 constant live, pin 1 switched live. These two are earths. These two here, they'll just get put together. I'm going to extend that wire and just take it up to these earths here on the chassis. So what I'm going to do here, the EWS box houses an OBD wire as well, so I'm going to try and put the ECU and the OBD port and this all on one, and go and try and read it for codes and see if I'll be able to, if you go on like the code reader and put an E36, that will read the chassis, but then you go in the code reader and read E46 330 diesel, that would read the engine all on one cable without having to have two OBD ports. So I'm just going to put the ECU in the hole and go and try that just now, and then report back, see how that goes, and plug the pedal in. And it's nearly time, it's basically time to bleed it. I've got fluids in it, need to bleed that, put the battery in it, put the ECU in the hole, cover it up, put the battery in it, connect up my constant lives and my earth that's lying about here, and go and see if I can read it with the code reader and see what happens there. Right, so I am going to tidy this up, right? So I have OBD wire connected to E36 OBD wire, OBD for the battery, for the ECU for the 46, and OBD gone to my OBD port. Right, so I've just been in and read the engine codes. You go on E46 330D engine. If I read the first one, we'll go back to E36, just go 2003 DDE4 into that. Okay. Right, so we're in. It always has these fault codes, CAN. It knows there's no CAN, no speed signal, stuff like that. But what we'll do to show you it's going to work, what it does work is fuel pump's going to come on. When I pick pump, no EGR valve. There's the fuel pump on. Stop that. Come back out of there. Go into E36, it's a 95 shell, and let's go read. I was reading brake ABS. It had a couple of fault codes, but I already cleared them. I was just testing this to make sure. I think it's on the 20 pin cable, but that's fine, it's tricked basically. So that means one will be deport, but obviously if I read the car you hate to go in as an E36, if I read the engine you need to go in as a E46. Codes, there's no fault codes, so I just cleared them. I had someone for the front right and voltage too high for something. But aye, everything works perfect. So one will be depot for different engine and E36 chassis. Perfect. So now I can go back and tidy up the wiring in here. Now that I can that that's going to work, I'll get that all tidy on this side. I'll solder them together. I just quickly put all these earths together and just quickly tied an earth around that just to make sure we're on the right track here. All these OBD wires are connected together. You'll find it at the EWS box, this wee pin here. The wire's the same colour as a 46 and the same colour as your OBD port anyway, so your white purple for E36, white purple for E46 and white purple OBD. So I'll get these soldered together and heat shrink them, and I'll put an eyelet on this and solder all that together. So I've got a bracket for the diesel filter made. I've just used, since it's a petrol chassis, this used to have a fuel tank vent accumulator down there, so I've used the original bolts there. I think it was going to be tidier than bringing it off of here, that would have just looked messy. So I'm about to go fit the fuel filter, but I'll show you in here first. So we have a return line here, all the fuel pipes linked to here. This is a funny return system, but I've kept it as factory as E46 as I could. So this is a return here, it comes up round the bottle, through the fuel cooler. This is what comes out the pump to the fuel cooler, back through here, then it returns. This is my line in from the filter to the engine, and this is my line for the fuel pump to the filter. I'm just going to go ahead and fit the filter, then I'm going to go underneath and finish the fuel lines underneath, because I left stuff loose until I had this part done. So I'm going to do that, show you the fuel lines underneath. I'm going to put the gear linkage on, prop shaft on, and just keep ticking off jobs off the list. I've got an OBD2 port here as well for the wire up inside the car, which I'll get to as well. So now we've got intercooler on. I've just both these bottom clamps to do up now. I've had to, what I did do, I had to remove, obviously you've got two horns on an E36, I've removed one, and everywhere there's a pipe going past, I've put some of this black edging rubber down there. See this stuff here? Just like U-channel rubber, so nothing chafes. So we've got it in there, around here. I've had to remove this 5 litre bottle. I actually think I will get to fit the 5 litre bottle back in. I thought this pipe fouled it slightly, so this boost pipe on. TDS rad is in. Fan looks a bit close, but it doesn't touch, tell you that much. This pipe here tucks under the radiator and goes down there. Use the original fuel cooler. The water bottle's been mounted. This is all in. So I'm left with, I need to still make a bracket for it to hold up the fuel filter. I was just seeing roughly where it's going to go, like somewhere around about there, just to make sure I didn't stretch this wire. The wirings to go away, the brake vacuums to get connected, the two back water pipes is to get done. I still have to put the clutch pipe back on. I've still got exhaust to do. I had to go and put the pedal plug in it. I still had to go and swap that out of my car. And power steering line still to do. So yeah, this is Monday morning again. I'm just ticking jobs off the list as I go along. But yeah, we're getting there. Bumper can go back on now. I can tighten that stuff up underneath. So underneath fuel lines, we've got full original E36 fuel line. So this blue one is return. This blue one's just plastic, that's a breather for the tank. Blue one is return, black one is in. So where the fuel filter would be on a petrol car, because it's a petrol chassis, we have the fuel pump here. I did have this bypassed thinking that there was enough pressure for the actual fuel pump itself, but I think because it's got this T-piece where the return goes into it, I think most of it was like flowing up the return instead of going through the filter, so I had a wee issue there, so I ended up just putting the pump on it. It runs fine now, where I was chasing my tail there for half an hour. One of these is broke off the chassis, so I'm going to put like a riv nut in here or something. So this is the final touches today underneath. I'm just going to fix the fuel lines here, cover up this fuel pump. It's bled up and stuff like that. Water's bled, power steering's bled. I've got this wee crossbar to go from this side to that side, and I can get it off the ramp and go and pressure wash it, code read it, get a run, stuff like that. Then I can hand it back. So when it comes to wiring this up, at this point, this is the point where you want to be doing wiring. One, when you've got the ECU in the hole, so you can get the length of wires correct, and then plug this X20 plug in down here, and just obviously you have some wires coming out of here, the ones that you need to connect, you'll have them coming out of here, and you just be attaching them in here somewhere with a nice length of wire sort of thing, so that the ECU can still sit away in that hole nicely. And you've got to remember all the relays and the glow plug control relay module, whatever you want to call it, that all sits in there as well. So this is the point where you would actually start doing your wiring. So obviously mine's is all wired up, but that's me. I'm ready to put the ECU cover on. I've had it running, it's bled up, all that stuff's done. I've got a couple of things to do underneath, and I'm going to take it off and go and wash the bay. So here's where we're at just now. I've got ECU to cover up, go under and fix that fuel line underneath, put the wee cover over the fuel pump and stuff like that, and then it's time to take it out, get a wee test drive, code read it, blah blah blah, and then wash the bay, and that's it, ready to go back to the guy. And I can get my own one in and start doing that. I've got a 204 I've got a 204 6-speed going into my one, which I'll be doing for scratch. So I'll be doing that full video for scratch on this. So basically you'll be watching me doing the wiring on the next one, not just reading a diagram. I will have a diagram as well, but I'll be doing everything on my one, so you'll actually be watching me wire up and that stuff too. Right, so I'm going to put the ramp up and just keep tackling a couple of wee jobs, and it'll be out for a quick test drive and we'll be away. So we're back to OBD port, it's all soldered, got an eyelet up there for the earth. I'm just about to put this heating duct back in for the vents. So I've just got this hanging down here, so you can just come and connect your OBD port up round here. I just tidied all the wires so nothing hangs down at your feet sort of thing. This is how I read mine. Mine was always reasonable, like just doing it this end of the car. So yeah, I'm going to go and put this back in its place. I can put the glove box and that back in. I've had the car running. I have a small drip of fuel from the fuel cooler, so I'm going to swap it out for another one. And yeah, take it outside, get a wash and that, clean it up, and then take an haircut out. Couple of videos clean, and then start working on the rest of the diagram for you guys. Right, so here we have an E36 330D engine on the floor, right? So I'm just going to run through a few things here with you. Right, so this is the constant lives from the actual E36. So I take away this and put my battery cable on here, and then I have a constant live. Obviously this goes to the battery on my car now because it's in an E36. So this is a constant live in here, that's constant live to the starter. So this is how you end up with a constant live that's going to go to the battery. Your glow plug relay gets a constant live, and this is where I've took my OBD constant live from as well, right? So we've covered the ECU plugs, but we're going to cover the non-ECU plugs just now, right? And obviously anything that's brown here gets an earth, so you're going to have to chop this, extend it, put an eyelet back on it so it can reach the earth on the E36. So you have two non-ECU plugs here, right? This one here, you only have a thick black and a green. We're only going to use the thick black here, and that's the starter. So the starter's going to go to, I've got my E36 loom here as well, the starter's going to go to the thick black and yellow on the E36. And when you turn the starter, that's going to start the car. right? So there's starter covered. That's the only wire you're using on that one. I think that's a 8-pin plug and there's 2 wires in it. We're only using one of them. The other one is just power to the oil level sensor, but we don't use that in an E36, right? So the other plug we have here is fuel pump power. This is going to put power to the fuel pump that's underneath the car. This one is a switch live. It will switch. This can give you a switch power to somewhere else once these relays wake up. But basically, when you turn the key and wake it up with pin 26, it triggers. Where is that plug? There's an earth plug. There's a small grey in here, a small brown in here, which triggers this one here, small one, which triggers the fuel pump relay with an earth when it wakes up. Sorry, this is the main relay. So when you wake up the ECU with pin 26 on, it then puts an earth back out this ECU plug, waking up this main relay, which then switches on all these fuses in here, which is to make the engine come alive, sort of thing. So that actually puts power back out of here. It goes into an E36 and it powers up, say, another relay or something, right? But I don't use it, but you can use it for to power up someone else that needs switched on, i.e. it could be the switch live for OBD port or something. So the other two on this plug, this is also a switch live and your reverse wire. So we've got a green with a white tracer and a blue with a yellow. So the blue with the yellow is going to go to the blue and yellow that's on your E36 one for reverse. Blue, yellow, if you want reverse lights working. What else was I going to show you while I'm here? We're actually going to keep the fuel pump. We need the fuel pump really on an E36, right? We only have one outlet, but if you change the relay so it has one in the middle, if you put a pin in there, you want it to have 2 outlets. So this one's going to do the in-tank pump, and then when you put another pin in there, these pins are pretty hard to get out. I've seen me going to, if you looked at obviously the start of the video when I dissected the rest of the loom, if you go to the other bit of loom, I've never managed to get one of these pins out without whacking them with a hammer and breaking them or stuff, so I've just took the cutter and cut along there until I've got a pin with a pretty thick wire to match. Where are we? To match the size of this white with blue, big thick white with blue, you basically want that going in there, so when you switch your key on, it brings on the in-tank pump with this and the under car pump with this, and you have the 2 pumps running off the one relay. And this was a blue relay that was in here, so it didn't have this middle pin, but if you just change it to one that's got the middle pin, it's going to work basically. So I just thought I'd quickly show you that off the car so you knew a wee bit more, because obviously mine is done in the car and wired up and stuff like that. So from here, this needs to get a constant live. Where else? This one here is your earth. There's a constant live that comes up to here from here. So the small one of these ones that we use, they're going to get constant live. You're obviously going to have an earth on your chassis it goes on the aircon pump on a 330 diesel, but I've deleted the aircon pump and made the earth longer, so it actually, I think by the time you unbolt it, it still reaches the block. So that covers that. I don't really think there's much more to cover than that, except for go and fix the diagram for you. But what I have done when I went back to the diagram, I have left. We can now do away with what was white and yellow for, remember, the diagnostic RTX and TXD or whatever. So I've got all the OBD working inside the car, but what I do want to do, because the E36 has the same colour of wire as the E46, where it says starter relay unloader, basically when you turn the key, it'll draw power back from the rest of the relay, so it has Mach cranking power. So we're going to use that, but I've put it back in my diagram over there. So I think that's pretty much covered everything we need to cover. This part, like changing this, is optional, but I just think for me, for putting it on an E36 that's still got the battery under the hood, I would just use the E36 battery cable to the starter, which also goes to my relay box, and that's that. So yeah, pretty much covered there. The car is actually finished, however my pipes are frozen outside, so I can't really give it a wash, but that's me finished with the car, everything's in. I need to secure the battery, but it's in, it starts and runs, temp, RPM, everything like that all working, and as you can see by the time the wiring's all finished in here, it's tidy enough. So we can get a wee fire up. Like it should be there. So this is now Friday. It looks like I'm going to be leaving this till Monday again now, and hopefully it's not as if frozen on Monday, so I can take it around the other side, pressure wash it, and clean the bay again before it goes back to my mate who owns the car. So yeah, not really much more I could do till Monday, but what I can do, I can go and start putting this video together. I've got the wiring diagram all sorted there. I'll add pictures and stuff at the end and as much detail as I can so you can actually do this swap yourself. I'm sorry the video has dragged on a little bit. What I've been doing, I've been doing a bit, recording a bit, doing a bit, recording a bit, and because I've been recording it, I would usually, this swap, I would usually probably be able to do in 2-3 days myself, but I think we're at like day 8, but I've been making a video for you guys, so just to help out anybody who's want to do this swap, and I do swaps like this all the time, like M52 into 1.8, stuff like that, and I'm really good with them, so I'm going to start like videoing everything I do just to help guys out. I'm always getting tagged on like E36 Kings and stuff like that, so people ask me questions of how to do this and how to do that, so pretty soon I will have a link. So I'm pretty, what it is, I'll get tagged to answer a question and it's something that I feel like I answer all the time, so at one point I'll just be able to jump on, paste a link to YouTube, and it'll be a walkthrough video of how to do it yourself. Just to save me, because I feel myself writing paragraphs of the same stuff over and over again. I didn't mind helping people, but it gets a wee bit annoying when I've got stuff today and jobs today and people's tagging me saying, oh, how do you fix temp and RPM when you've put an M52 into a 318 and stuff like that. So I'm going to have videos on all of that shortly just to help everybody out and get more E36 guys into like my page and just try and grow the YouTube channel all the way. Anyway, thanks for watching. If it was helpful to you, please like, share, subscribe, show your friends, whatever. Amazing swap like this. Like ever since I've went M57, I'll never drive another car on the road that's petrol again. Like no really, it'd be for the weekend if anything, but M57 is like took over my life. It's like the best diesel engine out there that's like quick and easy to fit to another BMW. It's relatively cheap. But what I would advise, don't buy an engine off a pallet. You'll be missing loads of bits, you don't know what runs and stuff like that. Buy a full running car, code read it, run it for a month, and then start taking bits off it, and then I guarantee you have everything there to do the job, including your 330D front brakes, because they're really needed in a swap like this, because one, the engine's heavier, two, the car is going to be tramping along like nobody's business, so you really need brakes to stop. The 1.8 and 2.5 and 2.8 ones would be alright, but like the 1.8, they're going to get warm really fast with that thing tramping on like. Right guys, anyway, thanks very much. I'll say see you soon. Well guys, that's us finally finished. My pipes have defrosted, so I managed to give this baby a wash, a dry, and put some shiny stuff on it. So I'll get to finish this video after and upload the full thing for you guys. If you want to learn how to clean a bay yourself like this, or the way I do it, I'm not saying the way I do it is right, but this is where I get lots of jobs, because my finished result is like second to none. In Scotland anyway, whatever. Well, I have a video up showing you how I washed an E36 engine bay before, and show you exactly how I do it, what you need to do, what to cover up if it has an air filter, and blah blah blah. If you want that, that's in my other videos, but I'm going to edit this video after, stick it all together, and then leave diagrams and stuff. The diagrams will be in the description and stuff like that, everything they need to do. If anybody's unsure on anything, comment on the post and I'll get back to you as soon as possible. I didn't mind helping people as long as it didn't turn out to like seem like they're really stupid. I'll try and help anybody, basically. So yeah, I can actually give this back to Craig so he can go and do his stuff to it. He still needs to get a diesel diff ratio for it. It's got to need 3 litre brakes. I'll need some form of suspension because she's mega saggy, but yeah, end result is good, and pretty soon I can start tackling my own 204. Has to go back in my car, which this engine come out of. I have a 204 6-speed, but I think the next video I've got a customer's car outside that needs coilovers, hubs, a hydro, and it needs temp and RPM and speed signal wired to the clock. So I think the next video has got to be on that before we actually get to the 204 video. But like I said, the 204 video, I still have to wire this up, so you're going to get the full video showing exactly what I connect and where I connect it and everything, where this one was already done, but I've kind of explained by looking at other engines what we do. But anyway, thanks very much for watching. Please like, share, subscribe. Just let me know what you think in the comments. Anybody need help with anything, just write to me in the comments. I've got notifications on for YouTube, so they do ping my phone, so I'll get back to you as soon as I get time for a reply to you, basically. Thanks very much, guys. Until the next one, cheers.